ABC, this is World News Tonight with Barry Seraphin in Iran, Max Robinson in Chicago, Barbara Walters with an exclusive interview with British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, and from our desk in Washington, Frank Reynolds.
Good evening. On the 44th day of captivity for Americans in Tehran, the major news tonight is the continuing major disagreement between the foreign minister, who has indicated some of the hostages might soon be released, and the militants at the embassy, who continue to insist all the hostages must be put on trial as spies. For the latest from Tehran, here is Barry Seraphin.
Here in Iran tonight, government officials disclose more details about their plans for so-called grand jury proceedings to indict the former Shah and the United States. Beyond those proceedings, there continue to be mixed and unclear signals about what will happen to the hostages. Jack Smith reports.
Iranian Foreign Minister Sadegh Ghotbzadeh tonight cleared up 2 points. First, Iran will try to call an international grand jury to air its grievances against the United States and the deposed Shah. There'll probably be 24 jurors, but the invitations haven't yet gone out. The hostages will be called, but only as witnesses. Second, the hostages are at last going to be allowed some visitors.
Understand there to be clerics only.
Yes, because they have to do the religious ceremonies as well.
From all over the world.
Huh?
From all over the world.
One from Europe, one from the United States.
Ghotbzadeh said he was doubtful if any hostages would be released before Christmas. As to whether they'd be put on trial, in addition to their appearance before a grand jury, Ghotbzadeh said that has not been decided. But late tonight, on Iranian television, the students holding the U.S. Embassy repeated their determination to try the hostages. They said, though, that Ayatollah Khomeini would be the one who decides the nature of the trial and the date. Khomeini himself was also on TV here tonight. He repeated his condemnation of the Shah, but still had nothing to say about the Shah's move to Panama. The future of the hostages is as unclear as ever. Jack Smith, ABC News, Tehran.
This is Ted Koppel. Among the many casualties of the Iran crisis has been the commonly held assumption that when a foreign minister speaks, he speaks with the authority of his government. That may be true elsewhere, but not in Iran.
The assumption must always be that the ultimate authority lies in Qom and that it lies with the Ayatollah. I would like to remind you of the number of deadlines that have been stated, the number of promises that have been made about action that was going to be taken, the number of floaters that have been sent out into orbit about if this happened, that would happen, all of which seem to be contradicted by the sources within 24 hours.
If U.S. officials have learned one painful lesson over the past 6 weeks, it is not to construct hope on the foundation of public statements out of Tehran.
I cannot, in all honesty, tell you that I have any new hope to offer today. What I can tell you is that the cost of maintaining those hostages in illegal captivity grows higher and higher every day.
State Department officials say privately that Iran's economy is already crumbling and that some of America's allies have begun applying new, as yet unpublicized pressures on Iran, which will become evident during the next few days. A growing concern here, though, is that if the hostages are not released by Christmas, the widespread political support for President Carter's policy of restraint will start falling apart. Ted Koppel, ABC News at the State Department.
Two Time magazine correspondents, Bruce Van Voorst and Roland Flamini, were ordered today to leave Iran. The foreign press director said they were being expelled because Time has done nothing but arouse the hatred of the American people since the takeover of the embassy 6 weeks ago. In New York, Time said, "We are very proud of our coverage in Iran." Max?
Frank, at the United Nations today, Iran's new ambassador, Mansour Farang, presented his credentials to UN Secretary General Kurt Waldheim, and he told reporters he came with no special messages concerning the hostages. Meanwhile, the General Assembly today voted unanimously to make the taking of hostages an international crime. A campaign for that vote began even before the hostages were taken in Iran. Well, still ahead, British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher comes to America with some warm words for President Carter, and we'll look at an unusual performance of Handel's Messiah.
ABC's World News Tonight, brought to you by Shake and Bake. For delicious pork chops, Shake and Bake Coating Mix. It makes the most of your pork chops.
Pete, have I got a plant for you?
But it's all dried out.
Like the pork chops you sold me yesterday.
Bet you fried them. You should use shake and bake coating mix.
A fried chop can be dry, but try shake and bake. The golden coating seals in the juices so it's moist and tender, not tough.
Those chops were terrific. Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, shake and bake, for pork chops that are tender, not tough. Try barbecue style, too.
Anne, I love this clock. Why so nervous?
Sorry. The doctor says caffeine makes me tense.
Well, don't you drink Sanka brand decaffeinated coffee?
Oh, I bought that for my husband. I only drink real coffee.
Sanka brand is real coffee, and taste it. Try it.
It is real. Real good.
Hi, Anne, what's new in antiques?
Everyone says I'm new since I switched to Sanka brand.
Sanka brand, the coffee that lets you be your best.
Throughout the crisis in Iran, the United States has naturally been alert for any action by the Soviet Union. Now, in a development possibly related to Iran, ABC News diplomatic correspondent Barry Dunsmore has learned of a massive military move by the Soviets in a neighboring country. Here is his report.
ABC News has learned that a massive buildup of Soviet troops is taking place in Afghanistan, leading some American intelligence analysts to conclude that a Soviet invasion, possibly on the scale of Czechoslovakia, is underway. One reliable source puts the number of Soviet troops now in Afghanistan at 20,000, although other sources say there may be only 10,000. Even at the low figure, that is 10 times as many as were confirmed only Friday, and a major Soviet airlift into Kabul, the capital, is still underway. In addition to this, there are intelligence reports of major Soviet troop movements not far from the Iranian border and also along the Soviet border with China. At this time, U.S. analysts have not come to any firm conclusions about the meaning of all of this. One school of thought is that the Soviets have decided that their side in the current power struggle in Afghanistan is losing and must be propped up. However, other analysts believe that the Soviets may be positioning themselves for some kind of response in the event that the U.S. takes military action against Iran. Still others believe that the Soviets may be getting ready to make their own moves on Iran. The one thing the intelligence experts do agree on, however, is that the Russian buildup in Afghanistan is big and getting bigger. Barry Dunsmore, ABC News, the State Department.
In London today, a major achievement for British diplomacy. Rhodesia's two guerrilla leaders announced they have agreed to a ceasefire after 14 weeks of intense negotiations. At the White House, where British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher met with the president today, the Rhodesia agreement was called a magnificent achievement. But it was that other problem, Iran, that dominated the Prime Minister's visit today. Here is White House correspondent Sam Donaldson.
British Prime Ministers come to the White House knowing the two countries enjoy a special relationship. So it was today when the Right Honorable Margaret Thatcher, elegant and beplumed in the grand style, received her official welcome on the South Lawn. But usually it is the British Prime Minister who needs support. Today on Iran, it was the other way around, and Mrs. Thatcher delivered.
The cruel ordeal inflicted on the hostages has aroused the indignation of the civilized world. At times like this, you're entitled to look to your friends for support. We are your friends. We do support you, and we shall support you. Let there be no doubt about that.
The president said such support is deeply appreciated, and the two went off for an unusually lengthy business meeting of about 2.5 hours. When it was over, Prime Minister Thatcher once again pledged support, this time specifically on joining in United Nations economic sanctions against Iran.
We indicated very clearly to the president that when the United States wishes to go to the Security Council for further powers under Chapter 7, Great Britain will be the first to support him.
Asking the UN to impose economic sanctions is one possible route, but since the Russians may not go along, officials here say the next move may have nothing to do with the UN. Press Secretary Jody Powell says no decisions have been made, but leaves no doubt they will be soon. The price for holding our people to Iran will get increasingly higher, said Powell. Sam Donaldson, ABC News, the White House.
In a moment, Barbara Walters will have an interview with Prime Minister Thatcher. The Senate today moved toward expected final passage of the windfall profits tax bill on the oil companies. The next step is for a House-Senate conference committee to work out a compromise between the Senate version, calling for $178 billion in taxes over 10 years, and a House version supported by the President, calling for $277 billion. In Caracas, Venezuela today, the 13 oil exporting countries opened their year-end meeting to set new price increases. Venezuela's President Herrera delivered the keynote speech, calling for all the OPEC members to decide on a new unified price. But the outlook for that is uncertain. Saudi Arabia has already called for a new price of no more than $24 a barrel, while Libya and other countries are demanding a minimum of $30 a barrel. Here is more from Roger Peterson.
Group pictures. Everyone poses for them, even OPEC oil ministers, prompting Iran's Ali Akbar Moanfar to steal the spotlight. After the smiles, they had to endure a crush of photographers getting pictures of the opening session. Finally, the ministers started their private meeting. Object, price setting. Moderates, led by Saudi Arabia's Sheikh Yamani, want the base price for the best Arabian oil set at $24 a barrel, a level reached last week. Libya's Mabrouk pushed his price to $30 yesterday and says he wants $34. Iran's Moanfar jokingly says he wants $64. Today he raised prices to $28.50. Iran and Libya will continue pushing for higher prices, but moderates still expect an agreement will be reached.
The problem is whether the increase should be gradual or stepwise. And my feeling is that the majority of the group feels that gradual, systematic increase is much better than a jump in price.
Most of the opening session dealt with procedural matters. Price negotiations won't get underway until this evening, with much of the hard bargaining slated for tomorrow. An announcement on agreement or disagreement is expected by Wednesday. Roger Peterson, ABC News, Caracas.
One of those OPEC countries, Saudi Arabia, has already announced a $6 a barrel price increase, and today Chevron became the first oil company to react. Chevron has raised its wholesale prices on gasoline, heating oil, and diesel fuel by 6 cents a gallon. And tomorrow, Exxon will raise wholesale prices on gasoline by 6 cents and home heating oil prices by 3 cents. Well, here in Chicago, the city is having its first rapid transit strike since 1919, and millions of people who use mass transit couldn't today. Transit workers walked off their jobs early this morning, and by rush hour, there were no buses and no trains. Some hardy souls braved the 5-degree cold and walked to work, while thousands took to their cars, snarling expressways. Those who used their cars found gasoline shortages. Tank truck drivers are on strike against 5 oil companies, leaving many gasoline stations with pumps closed. It was not a good day for that old motto of Chicago's civic pride, the city that works.
Do you like them, Eve?
Isotoner gloves. Oh, Adam, it's the perfect gift.
Do they fit?
Like a second skin.
Like the man said, if the skin fits, wear it.
Adam, how did you know isotoners would fit me?
Well, Eve, you know Isotoner by Aris comes in so many colors.
How did you know they'd fit me?
Actually, with Isotoner, one size fits all.
Yeah? Who else do you know?
Jean-Claude Killy, the memory of his 3 gold medal performance preserved in photographs. And this year, Canon cameras have been chosen to photograph the 1980 Winter Games. Under the toughest conditions, Canon is more than tough enough. For moments that come once in a lifetime, Canon is more than reliable enough. Canon, so advanced it's the world's leader in 35mm photography.
Canon is the official 35mm camera of the 1980 Winter Olympics.
What do you take for a headache? Anacin, but not at night.
Bayer aspirin, but not at night.
Tylenol, but not at night. What did you take at night? Excedrin PM.
Excedrin PM.
Excedrin PM. Many people who use different pain relievers during the day have chosen Excedrin PM at night. Now it has a new formula. Excedrin PM relieves your headache and gives extra help to relax and sleep. So whatever you take during the day, at night, try the nighttime pain reliever. Excedrin PM.
Wake up to the secret of Night of Olay.
Good morning. You know, a good night's sleep is one of my best beauty secrets. This is another, Night of Olay, an incredible night cream that eases dryness while you sleep. So light and non-greasy, even your husband won't know it's there until you wake up with softer, smoother, younger-looking skin.
Night of Olay. Wake up to the secret of younger-looking skin.
Just before going to the White House this morning to see the president, Prime Minister Thatcher took time out for an interview with Barbara Walters. It was Mrs. Thatcher's first American television interview since becoming Prime Minister last May. Barbara?
Frank, we found the interview a chance for Americans to know more about this 54-year-old woman and her philosophy. Confident and self-assured, Mrs. Thatcher spoke of her total support of our Iranian policy. But in spite of what seemed today like warm relations with President Carter, there has been criticism since the hostages were taken that Great Britain and the other Western allies have not supported the U.S. enough. At Blair House this morning, we asked Mrs. Thatcher if this criticism was valid.
No, I don't think it is. Certainly not of Britain, nor of Europe. As you know, we still have an embassy in Tehran. We've reduced it very substantially, only about 1/3 of the number of people who were there previously. But the existence of that embassy has in fact been a very great help to America during this critical and heartbreaking period. We also have not in fact sent any armaments to Iran since the crisis began, and of course our trade is very much down. And please don't think that you're isolated in any way. Very far from it.
Would Great Britain have granted the Shah refuge?
We were never asked, and therefore Cabinet did not in fact consider it, and so I don't quite know what the answer would have been.
Do you think that we made a mistake in allowing the Shah to come here?
In allowing a sick man to come here for treatment? No. I don't think you made a mistake.
Mrs. Thatcher, in general, you have consistently advised standing up to the Soviet Union, being perhaps tougher than we have sometimes been. In what way can we stop the spread of Soviet infiltration?
Infiltration? Let me put it this way. I don't think that we in the West proclaim the advantages of our system enough. Look, we have economic freedom that produces prosperity undreamed of in communist countries, and they envy it. And we also have political and individual freedom, and that produces a dignity and a freedom of speech and worship which they would love. But you know, we shouldn't run our own system down. We should proclaim it from the housetops.
Mrs. Thatcher, this is the first television interview that you've done for this country since becoming Prime Minister. Can you tell us what is the philosophy of Margaret Thatcher?
The philosophy of Margaret Thatcher is that freedom under a just law will give you both material benefits, will give you a standard of dignity and liberty that is unrivaled in the world. That is in jeopardy if governments take too much power, because they diminish the freedom and then the laws become much too oppressive. Everything in life is a balance between the rights of the citizen and the rights of the state. At the moment, we're too far on the rights of the state and too little on the rights of the citizen.
Mrs. Thatcher, inflation has risen in your country from 11% to 17%. And recently there were demonstrations against your cuts in public spending. And the big question is, will the people give you the 5-year term you say you need to make your economic changes? Or will you be a one-term Prime Minister?
We've been borrowing and borrowing and borrowing for years. People will not now lend us the money unless interest rates are high. And there are many, many people who say that I haven't been tough enough with the public spending cuts. And I think that's right. And until we get public spending down more, the borrowing won't come down. Until the borrowing comes down, the interest rates won't come down. And the interest rates also hit people who want to buy their houses and small businesses very much. So you're right. I have to do the tough things in the early years to give them time to work through, to get more incentives to growth. And I hope it will work through. And I hope we shall have more than one term.
Very often in our country it's said, you see, the U.S. is going the way of Great Britain economically. And that's not meant as a compliment. Do you see that happening with us?
Never take too much power in the hands of government. It slows things down. It stops the growth. It stops the expansion. I think you're very much aware of this. We've gone too far. I'm trying to pull back.
Do you think we're going too far?
No, I think perhaps you've learned from what's happened with us.
Since you became Prime Minister, you have been called various nicknames. I'm sure you've heard them and read them. The Iron Maiden, Attila the Hen, and more recently, the Mad Axe Woman. Do these nicknames make you smile? Do they make you angry? Do they hurt you?
Neither. If I'm never called anything worse than that, I shall really be rather grateful.
Thank you, Mrs. Thatcher, for being with us today.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Where's Santa? Shh, quiet. Okay, we'll wait here until Santa comes.
When you've got to get the picture, you need a flash you can depend on. More people buy Sylvania Blue Dot Flash than any other brand because they know they're reliable. Sylvania Blue Dot, when you've got to get the picture.
At Century 21, we're experienced.
We're here to help. We know just what to do.
At Century 21, we're professional.
We're the neighborhood professionals for you.
We've got the know-how in real estate to get the job done.
We give you all we've got, 'cause you're number one.
At Century 21,
We're professional, Daddy.
We're the neighborhood professionals for you.
Welcome to the cold and flu season. You felt a cold or flu coming on this morning. Now you're really achy and feverish. Take Bayer aspirin. For aches and fever, what's in Bayer is what doctors recommend most. 100% pure aspirin, nothing more. That's what's in Bayer aspirin. And millions have used Bayer with no stomach upset. So remember, rest, fluids, and Bayer aspirin. For aches and fever, what's in Bayer is what doctors recommend most.
$300. America's waking up to Chrysler Plymouth.
Chrysler's $300 offer has Americans looking at the new Chryslers and Plymouths and buying.
The $300 got me to look at it, but the Cordova sold itself.
The $300 really clinched the deal on my Volare.
Get a car, get a check, direct from Chrysler. But hurry, this offer's limited to 100,000 Chrysler Corporation buyers.
Waking up to Chrysler Plymouth.
At participating dealers.
The continuing troubles in Iran have, for the most part, put presidential politicking on the back burner. But while the rhetoric is, for the moment, low-key, the organizing efforts are anything but. And one of the most aggressive campaigners is a Republican long shot, former CIA director and Texas millionaire George Bush. James Wooten found him on the trail in Wisconsin.
This is Wisconsin, and although that isn't exactly a household name, George Herbert Walker Bush is doing what absolutely has to be done in primary politics. He's organizing, from the grassroots up, trying to build a political machine out of names and addresses and handshakes. There's something very familiar about all this.
When I began my campaign, not many people thought I had a chance. I didn't hold public office. I didn't have very much money. I didn't have a nationwide campaign organization. I and my wife, my children, and a few volunteers began going from one community to another. We'd go into the front.
4 years later, the Carter style has become the Bush technique.
I don't resist the comparison of doing what he did, working out harder than those other people, and getting down there and shaking hands up and down the streets of Manchester. Jimmy Carter worked hard, rolled up his sleeves, but I'd like the comparison to stop right there.
But organization is as critical as hard work, and by focusing on organization, Bush has finished strong in straw polls in Florida and Maine. And that in turn has produced headlines, which generated more headlines, and new money, all of which a long shot like George Bush badly needs for his first real test in Iowa next month.
I have to beat one of those front-running hares. There's 3 hares and 1 tortoise. Reagan, Baker, Connolly, all hares, hopping around out there, better known. People see them more, know who they are better than me. The tortoise, however, is moving gradually forward. Somewhere before Wisconsin, somebody has to beat Reagan. If they don't, Reagan wins this nomination. I believe I'm the person to do it. I can't tell you where I'm going to do it.
George Bush has been on the road for more than a year now, and although his campaign is not yet a bandwagon, it is dogged and diligent and day after day. It's the discipline of a political tortoise who knows he's got a long, long way to go. James Wooten, ABC News, Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Samsonite versus Kano Koji. Tough bag. Samsonite makes over 400 styles of tough bags. Samsonite's got your bag.
The ancient Mayans had a special reverence for time. They measured it with dignity and beauty. Now, Texas Instruments combines enduring beauty and electronic accuracy to measure time for you. Texas Instruments digital watches, constant readout, long battery life, solid state reliability, the new Light Era series, most priced under $30. Advanced technology at affordable prices. From Texas Instruments.
Handel's Messiah is perhaps the most famous piece of concert Christmas music ever written. And throughout the country, all during this holiday season, it'll be heard in concert halls, large and small. However, as Julie Eckert discovered, few performances could rival the cast like the one assembled here in Chicago.
My name is Lynn Baber. I'm an acting student, and I sing soprano. Hallelujah!
Don Geffert, merchandise manager, local retailer, first tenor. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Bradley Mott, I'm a drama teacher, and I sing bass. Hallelujah.
2,500 amateur singers, like those you just met, are putting their hallelujahs together in Chicago's Orchestra Hall. There are no tryouts, no rehearsals. It's the do-it-yourself version of Handel's Messiah with conductor Margaret Hillis. The critics may notice a few sour notes here and there, but the performers don't expect perfection. They tell us they come here to be enveloped in overwhelming emotion, which doesn't depend on musical ability.
The excitement, of being surrounded by sound, of participating in something this big, and I'll be high for 24 hours.
I have never felt like I've had the real Christmas spirit unless I've sung the Messiah, and especially this year.
Julie Eckert, ABC News, Chicago.
Thank you, Julie. Well, the Christmas spirit even made its presence felt in Tehran today. A Los Angeles disc jockey, Alex Payne, took 3 bags full of Christmas cards and letters to the gates of the American Embassy. One letter from Brooklyn read, "Even though we don't know each other, know that our hearts are with you. They can hold the human body in bondage, but never the human spirit." ABC News will present another special report tonight on the crisis in Iran. Tonight's broadcast will immediately follow the local late-night news. That's our report for now on World News Tonight. For ABC News, good night.
From ABC, this has been World News Tonight. This is ABC.
Good evening, I'm Ann Holt. Coming up at 6 tonight on News Watch, the following reports. Elvis Presley's doctor faces a hearing next month on charges of overprescribing drugs for Presley and other patients. The Environmental Protection Agency has asked Metro to clean up its act, and we'll have a report on a new kind of heater which some people believe is a real energy saver. Tom Seiler says we're going to need a lot of heat tonight as temperatures drop into the teens, and Bob Bell reports that a Vandy basketball player is red-shirted. All this and more coming up in 30 minutes on News Watch. Stay tuned.
Tom Seiler is well known around these parts, not only for his expertise in forecasting the weather, but also because he gets out there in it, just like everybody else. In fact, the